Lizzie and I watched the National Theatre production of Frankenstein as part of their free season online. It was awesome in the real sense of the word. In the scene we witnessed in the reading, the scientist and his creation come face to face in the wilderness. They seem like equals somehow. They both need each other. They are both flawed human beings. They are like twins. Frankenstein is obsessed with science and recognition and seems unable to love his family, and the monster is rejected by society and in need of love and kindness. The dialogue that takes place high up in the mountains is moving, desperate, and somehow beautiful. Perhaps they attempt to listen to each other for the first time in the story. One groundbreaking feature about the production was that the two actors, Benedict Cumberbatch and Jonny Lee Miller, swapped the roles of the troubled scientist Frankenstein and his suffering creature over alternative nights. And this, for me, really worked, because their fates are woven together. They are like two sides of one personality, and perhaps they are an embodiment of humanity and all that we create and produce and invent. Mary Shelley started writing Frankenstein when she was just 18. It is possibly one of the most powerful stories exploring the human shadow. The scientist rejects his own creation as soon as he's seen its twisted form, but his creation tracks him down, causing mayhem. Frankenstein won't face up to the chaos he's brought to the world. The concept of the shadow, of course, was studied by the Swiss psychoanalyst C.J. Jung, the part of ourselves we don't want to accept. Many stories help us to explore it, including The Wolf of Gubbio. St. Francis advises the villagers to feed the wolf rather than hunt it. I guess we all have a shadow. So do societies, institutions, and nations, even economic systems, and humanity does also. This made me think about our present situation. Our prayers go out to all those families and communities across the globe, suffering from loss and pain from the terrible coronavirus outbreak. For many people, the lockdown has made time stand still. For some of us, we feel we have a stronger dialogue with the natural world, rediscovering a sense of grace and mindfulness. A new dialogue with neighbours, maybe, strangers, a sense of compassion and love, really, for key workers and those that risk their lives for us. And a renewed opportunity to be more tuned in with ourselves, I would say. Over the last month, I felt more in contact with my inner self, even my soul, than before. This is both a blessing and, of course, can be tricky. For some, they feel more aware of their dream life. Incidentally, Mary Shelley based Frankenstein on a dream she'd had. Is this pandemic prompting nations to work together and break down barriers? Are political parties having to talk and leave differences aside? In the House of Commons, we appear to have left behind the bitter, polarised arguments over Brexit and welcomed in a new era of politicians trying to work together and unite against the virus. Perhaps we've seen a more respectful dialogue between the opposing parties. I've seen more direct and challenging questioning from the opposition and a determination to get to the truth, rather than the behaviour of the old days, point scoring and blame games. Spiritual writers remind us that it's never too late for us to start a dialogue with a neighbour, or a family member, or a friend that we've fallen out with, and to begin again. Forgiveness and hope are obtainable and possible. Rumi said, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again, come. Our relationship with our extraordinary planet is not broken beyond repair. Isn't it remarkable that only a few months ago we were witnessing huge protests by Extinction Rebellion saying enough is enough, we have to take climate change seriously and make sacrifices and make changes. The critics said that these rebels are in cuckoo land and that we can't stop consuming and flying and polluting. It's just how capitalism is wired. And look at what we've achieved now, even if it was in response to a pandemic. We can have an honest conversation with Mother Earth. We don't have to stay in denial. Perhaps one of the biggest legacies of the lockdown is that, yes, anything is possible for humanity. Gerard Manley Hopkins' poem God's Grandeur expresses there is always hope, always a chance to reset the button, a chance for resurrection, a time to rebuild. He writes, there lives the dearest freshness, deep down things. The world broods with warm breast and with bright wings. Amen.